is Ready Set Homestead, where the only fluff is the feathers. I'm Kale, and today we'll be showing you how to fill a raised garden bed. Now, we do have a few other raised garden beds. We got a 4x4 over there. We got this guy right here, which is 8 foot, 4 foot, and then the back is 12 foot. But we got this nice 8 foot by 2 foot by 30-inch metal raised garden bed by Veggie. And so we're gonna be filling this up. Problem is, something like this, that's a lot of dirt. Actually, it's exactly this much dirt. So in order to fill something like this, if you were purchasing the dirt, it's gonna cost you a ton of money, but you don't really need 30 inches down for most plants. So let me go ahead and show you the cheapest way how to fill a raised garden bed. Let's get started. So you may not have the resources yourself in order to do the things in order to fill the garden bed how we're gonna be doing it today. But again, we're not gonna be using a lot of that lower part. We're gonna be filling it with wood. Now, I don't have enough wood to fill it myself, but my neighbor just cut down this tree. He's gotta get rid of the wood. If he doesn't have somebody haul it off, he's gotta do it himself. So I talked to my neighbor and he said I can take as much of this wood as I want. So I'm gonna be using this wood, throwing it in the trunk of my car. I don't have a truck, so I'm gonna be throwing it in the trunk of my car with as much as I possibly can. We're gonna haul it back over to the house. So choosing the pieces of wood, I had to make sure that A, I could carry them, and B, they were gonna fit inside the trunk, and C, inside the garden bed. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing your wood. So this is about all I got right now. Full trunk. I can always come back. Let's close it up. It actually wasn't too bad. I had my Gorilla cart there. Pretty much everything fit inside the Gorilla cart, so it gave me a good idea of what would work. But again, just taking all of it out of the trunk, making sure it all fit, and making sure I don't hurt myself in the process. So I got my wood over here. I'm gonna be filling the wood inside. I'm gonna move it a little closer so you can see exactly how I'm placing these. Try not to make this too complicated. Essentially, it's just like a game of Tetris. You do want to kind of fit them in there. You're trying to fill as many spots as you can, but as you're going to see in a second, you also don't want to be having it push up against the metal because you want the metal to be in its natural form. So just take what you can. This actually ended up fitting almost perfectly with everything we had. This is a pretty good start. You can see how I have the pieces lined up. I don't want them pushing against. I just want them right next to it. So, I mean, that right there has already covered quite a bit of space, probably about 6 inches high, you know, call it 7 feet. So that's taken up a good amount of what normally would be soil. So the next thing I'm gonna do is fill in these gaps with what I call garbage dirt. So garbage dirt is like this right here. This is the dirt that I dug up in my yard when I was digging one of my French drains. So to help fill in these gaps, and to make a little bit more level of a surface, so if we want to put more wood, we can, I'm going to use the garbage dirt. Now, the reason I call it garbage dirt is because it's full of weeds and grass. It's very clay-like. It's not real great soil to grow garden plants in. Now, a lot of people would think, man, if you throw a bunch of dirt in there that has weeds, it's gonna go breed weeds throughout your garden. Well, it's gonna end up getting water, but with it being almost 3 feet down, it's not gonna be getting any sun. So it's not gonna be able to grow up all the way through 3 feet of dirt in order to start sprouting. How do you know this? Well, go into your yard, dig a ditch 3 feet down. Tell me how many plants you see. You may see some roots from other plants that are on the top, but you're not going to see any plants down below. So let me finish this garbage dirt. So this part is the least fun part of all of it. Just digging the dirt, getting it in there. Again, you can buy this, but the whole purpose of this video is to show you how to do it for free. So we're going to dig up the dirt that we already have in our yard in order to do this. You can see me kind of spreading around a little bit, making sure that it gets in between the cracks. Over time, this is going to settle and you will have to add some more dirt to the top. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But just a little bit of labor. Put your sweat and tears into it. Hopefully no blood. And make sure that you get it all in there so that you can get to the next step. You can see, again, all this garbage dirt underneath, just like I was talking about. There's no plants down there. This is just the dirt because even the garbage dirt can't grow down below. All right. So we got our wood, we got our garbage dirt. It's time for some more wood. All right, so time for our second fill. This time, instead of using those giant logs, we're gonna be using smaller logs and sticks that I got from my yard. So this is the biggest one. Kind of break them down into pieces, and we're gonna throw them inside. I don't know if I can break this one in half. It's kind of thick. There we go. We're just gonna fill it up. Some of this is firewood. This is Louisiana. I don't ever make a fire. Every time I make a fire, I regret it, so it's too hot. Stop. Okay. Daddy's working, buddy. All right, so of course my son just squirted me with his little sprayer gun from the pool, but I'm not putting these in any kind of order. I'm just trying to kind of level them out as best as can. Doesn't have to be perfect. So you're probably looking at this point going, man, that seems like a lot of work. Well, there's something I want you to remember. When it comes to homesteading, gardening, animal stewardship, even your job, sales, various things like that, you can have fast, you can have cheap, or you can have easy. You can't have all three. You can only have two of them. If it's fast and easy, it's not going to be cheap. If it's fast and cheap, it's not going to be easy. In this situation, if it's cheap and easy, well, it's not going to be fast. That applies to anything in life. So plan accordingly. We've effectively filled it with as much of this brown matter that I'm wanting to put in here. We still have a good 12 inches of free space, but of course we have to fill in the empty spot there. There's a couple different ways. You can get some more garbage dirt like I did earlier, and I will put a little bit, just kind of fill in some of the holes. But because I want this stuff to break down, because it's gonna break down and it's gonna bring more nutrients into the soil, put a little bit more of the garbage dirt, and then I'm gonna show you what we're gonna use as the filler. So what am I gonna use to fill it? My beginning stage compost. Now, this compost, I guess compost is when it decomposes, but this, you can see it's starting to break down already. But we're gonna use this, the stuff that isn't fully broken down, to fill those gaps. And you can see, it's already pretty nice. But this is gonna really help jumpstart that decomposition of those logs. Now again, I keep compost year round. If you don't have compost, you're gonna have to find another filler. You can use pine needles. You can use leaves. You can start another project in your yard. Go ahead and start utilizing some of that garbage dirt yourself. What we got here? Looks like some eggshells. Got some bedding from the chicken coop. And what's great about this too, when you have this compost, is we're gonna end up transplanting things like worms. Now, of course, I have this nice gorilla cart. Highly recommend investing in something like that. I'll actually leave a link in the comments below for exactly that. I'm gonna get a few more scoops of the compost. So about 10 seconds here, it just randomly switches to the next scene. That's because my phone died. And when I got my phone recharged up a little bit, I was out of storage. So I had to delete a bunch of stuff. But you can guess what I was doing. Filling the box. So the soil that I'll be using for the top is this stuff right here. This was actually where I had my hoop coop, where I used the deep litter method. But this is great soil that just over the course of a year, year and a half, just built up from pine shavings, pine pellets, chicken feces, and whatever else was thrown inside here. So we're gonna be using this. We use this in all of our garden. We just take it straight and put it in there. Now it will, just because of our yard, it's full of seashells. So they will have seashells in there, and I'm not really worried about those. We can always just remove those at a later time as we come across them. But I will be making sure that I don't get a lot of the roots here, because it's not gonna be as deep as that garbage dirt. So we're gonna take this, put it in the barrel, and go straight into the garden. Beautiful dirt. And you can see the difference between this and what I refer to as garbage dirt. One thing I like to do is I use my spade shovel to break up the dirt. Then I'll use my flat shovel, which is a transfer shovel, to get those bigger scoops. So again, you may not have all this stuff in your yard, but this is how you start. Find something, dig up a hole, start a project, get yourself some chickens, do something. Just get active. Because that's one thing that's great when you're doing something essentially regenerative, like I'm doing here, is one project leads into another. They don't all have to be standalone. There's dirt inside here. It's gonna break down, it's gonna decompose. So we can rotate it and shift it and move it as we need. But let me go ahead and fill this. I'm gonna show you the next part. Good news, I finished that wheelbarrow. Bad news, I need one more. So it's kind of breaking up any of these clumps, evening everything out. Now, overall, this process took me about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. Took a few breaks in between, but not a thing was purchased from the store. Now, of course, the title of the video and in the beginning I talk about is how to fill a raised garden bed for free. Obviously, I have shovels. Obviously, I have a wheelbarrow. Obviously, I have the raised garden bed itself, which product will be in the description below, along with a coupon code for you if you want to get a raised garden bed like this. But the big thing is, when it comes to price, what do things cost? I didn't spend a thing to fill the garden bed. Now, other things I did have to purchase, but when you buy eggs from the supermarket, you don't factor in the price of your car or the gas it takes you to get there when you talk about the cost of eggs. The cost of this dirt, it cost me no money. We filled it with logs from my neighbor's house. Find somebody down the road. I'm sure if you find somebody with a tree that's been laying there for a month, if you walk up and say, hey man, can I have some of those logs? They're probably gonna give it to you. I used dirt from my yard from another project when I was digging a French drain. I used sticks and unused firewood for another filler. I used compost that was made from pine flakes, food scraps, and grass clippings. And I got my good soil from my chicken coop using a deep litter method. Doesn't have to be expensive. It's probably not gonna be easy. It might not be fast, but it can definitely be cheap. This is Ready, Set, Homestead. If you like, follow and subscribe. Enjoy Homestead.